Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally and internationally. And I welcome those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted in the various groups and YouTube subsequently. In continuation of our celebration in the month of the Ramanujans, we are keeping it personal, and I'm revealing some personal experiences within this time so that those that do not know us, and even those that do know us, they will have an understanding on how we came into being. I'm sure it remains a mystery to many on how a guru from South Africa, born in South Africa, bred in South Africa, initiated in India, living in South Africa, is expounding the Supreme Philosophy. And I want to explain how this came into effect. As I've stated in the last few discourses, gleaning absolute Vedic information in English was almost impossible. The internet and Wikipedia only have information inserted by historians from the West when I was looking for information. So the information on hand that I had, Vedic knowledge, or so-called Vedic knowledge on hand, was from the Advaitin background and the Dvaita background. And I was really feeling uncomfortable with this knowledge, not knowing exactly why. When I found passages or verses that was translated which was undermining Lord Sriman Narayan, I had a deep pain within myself. There are some that were stating that Lord Sriman Narayan is an incarnation, is not the Supreme Lord. Although I did not have at that point in time information to verify Lord Sriman Narayan was the Supreme Lord, I knew it to be so from within. And this initial journey into Sri Vaishnavism was a difficult terrain for me to maneuver. And in hindsight, I appreciate the various characters Lord Sriman Narayan awarded me so that I could conclusively reach him from these various experiences that I had in life. So, at school, I chose science as a subject. I wanted to become a doctor, and I chose a course that would lead me to medical school when I left high school. My entire family, it was a dream of all my uncle, my aunts, my grandma, and my mom, and my siblings, that I would graduate as a doctor. In lieu of that, and the results that I was getting from class 1 would point in that direction. The results would point in that direction. So I had my very first experience with material science from standard 8 in school. This experience with material science removed me from my religious and spiritual allegiances. And I got attracted into material science, and my mind opened up into various departments. I then had a passion for law, and I pursued law in many, many aspects and many, many fields. And then, through destiny, I was drawn into the military, which I never envisaged or dreamt of. But my character is such that whatever I do and wherever I am placed, within that parameters, I do my best. So when I was in the military, I did my best. And then I was a policeman for 9 years, and I served in various departments, from working for many years undercover and arresting gang leaders, getting involved in robberies, armed robberies, hijackings as it was happening, and putting our life on the line. I remember when Shyam was born, and he was my first child, and I was very attached to him. And when I would go to work, I would not know whether I will see him again, because I was working in the front line, and he was from 6 months until the time I resigned. This was my routine. I would bid him bye, because I was always on the front line. If whatever duty was given to me, I would try and do it double or treble. So if there was anything in progress, if there was a robbery in progress, I would attend first. If there was a house breaking in progress, I would race to the scene. So this instinct was embedded in me in hindsight, I can see, by Lord Sriman Narayan. So that when I come and sit on this seat one day, with all of my material experiences, I would be able to expound the philosophy of Sri Ramanuj Sampradaya. So I was involved in science, I was involved in legal, and I was involved in the military. And I was a businessman, I was involved in business, I was involved in community outreach programs almost all my life, and I was involved as a politician. And I used to ponder in between my various divisions of my life, what was the purpose of me being involved in so many categories of life. I would look at my friends that were in school. They were just involved in one career, and I was involved in so many things, moving in circles from a businessman to a politician, from a politician to community work, and vice versa. And I used to ponder within myself that maybe my life and all these experiences was wasted, especially when I started reaching 40, 41, 42. At this age, I saw my life as an absolute waste, because there was nothing I could solidly stand on in the material dimension. Then I met my Guru, and I got his mission. So I thought all I had to do was teach the Guru-disciple relationship. I thought this was all I was supposed to do. And then when I started wading through the available information, it was very traumatic for me when Lord Sriman Narayan was undermined by other systems claiming to be Vaishnavites and superior in knowledge. So I at that initially did not even understand or know that the Sri Sampradaya or the Sri Ramanuj Sampradaya was in existence. And this is the darkness from which I emerged. And when I did find out about the existence of the Sri Sampradaya, I could not find information on it. Like I could not find information on Lord Sriman Narayan. I could not find information or substantial information in English on the Sri Sampradaya, on Lord Sri Ramanuj, on the internet or on any bookstore in South Africa. However, I was being pushed from within by my Guru to expound this information, and this is why I say it was an almost impossible task. So as a scientist, or a material scientist, to expound any information, we have to verify it. In the legal field, to expound any law, we have to cross-reference with various other laws. And in the military, there are no grey areas. Right is right and wrong is wrong. So these characters was molded into me in my youth. So I had to function within these three characters: science, law, and being militant and with the scarce information that was available, I could not package a coherent understanding either within myself, let alone deliver to an audience. And I took this pain and I took the duress and the anxiety and I placed it at the feet of my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. And quite astonishingly, I discovered that Lord Sriman Narayan is the Supreme Lord as per all authorized Vedic scriptures. And I found that his system is the Sri Sampradaya. And I found that Lord Sri Ramanuj re-established the Sri Sampradaya in its totality. So confusion was reigning in my mind when there were other philosophies that were claiming to be the custodian of Vedanta. Coming from a scientific background, from a legal background, and from a military background, it was impossible for me to assimilate that three contradicting philosophies belong to one school of thought. And once again, no information that could give me an absolute understanding. And I want to explain, one school of thought states that there is no personal God. Another school of thought is saying that there is a personal God and we are inseparably connected to Him. And another school of thought saying that God, the living entities and material nature are entirely separate. So this was not scientific, and my legal mind could not accept this. And I went back to my Guru in great anguish because I could not find any information anywhere to give me clarity. And again, it was crystal clear to me that Vedanta is the Sri Sampradaya. The Sri Sampradaya is the custodian of Vedanta in its entirety. This was revealed to me a while back, and when I started social media, I would frantically search for the Sri Sampradaya in India and the Gurus and see if anybody was making this distinctly clear. And unfortunately, I could not find anyone that was stating to the world or to those that belong to Sanatana Dharma that the absolute philosophy, the absolute truth at this point in time in terms of Sampradaya belongs only, in capital letters, O-N-L-Y, only to the Sri Sampradaya. And I would ponder relentlessly in great anguish why this information was not being expounded to the world, and why those that were not the true custodians of Vedanta were known around the world. Again, I do not know Sanskrit, neither do I know Hindi, Tamil, Urdu or Telugu. I only know English. I am born in South Africa. I have information that the Sri Sampradaya is the absolute custodian of Vedanta from my Guru. I do not have the 4 Vedas translated in English. I do not have the 108 Upanishads translated in English. In fact, it was only this year when Vishwadhar did the South India pilgrimage, and only in January did I receive a translation of the 108 Upanishads. And this by ordinary scholars, not even by Vaishnavas. So this was my dilemma. This was my predicament. This was my pain. And I know that this was the pain of millions that also wanted these answers in Sanatana Dharma. So I was in between a rock and a hard place because I could not see this philosophy expounded. I could see other philosophies that were not the authorized custodians of Vedanta become the supreme philosophy of Sanatana Dharma, followed by millions around the world. And here I am sitting in South Africa. My Guru is in Vaikunth. I have no one to connect to. And I'm sitting frustrated. Knowing the absolute truth, but also being cautious in the manner in which I inject this truth through social media to the world. And it is a well-known saying that God always provides opportunities. And there was a time when the teachings of the Alvars was taken out of context, and there was an attempt to hijack this absolute system and make it fit into another system. So I was scientific, I was legal, and the legal characteristic of my life would make me ensure that although I was receiving information from my Guru, before I broadcast it to the world, I would find a way to corroborate it. And this is where my legal characteristic came into play. But when my Sampradaya was attacked, and when this attempted hijacking happened, then my militant character came into play. And to protect and to make the world aware that the Sri Sampradaya is the only authorized Sampradaya currently in vogue. I started discoursing that the Sri Sampradaya is the principal Sampradaya, that the philosophy of Vishishtadvaita is Vedanta, Vedanta is Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana Dharma is Vishishtadvaita, and Vishishtadvaita is the Sri Sampradaya. And I could interchange these words because they have equal standing. There is no difference between Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita, Sanatana Dharma, because this is the essence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sriman Narayan. Again, material science is ever eager to investigate creation. And my request to my Guru for me to have creation revealed was granted, and it was then that I decided that the reality of the Sri Sampradaya is not a religious one. It's a scientific one. It is absolute science. Because the creator is Lord Sriman Narayan. And if you want to understand creation, then it is logical to understand creation through the creator. And this guided me to promote the Sri Sampradaya and the philosophy contained in, which is popularly known as Vishishtadvaita, as absolute science. And for a while now, we have been promoting the Sri Sampradaya aggressively on social media. We left no stone unturned. We joined every group that allowed us to join, and without any fear, we boldly declared in every group that Lord Sriman Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Sri Sampradaya is the authorized Sampradaya that is in existence currently in this 28th Kali Yuga and has been eternally since time immemorial. We have refuted the sub-schools or the so-called sub-schools of Vedanta as false. And we have given our reasons why. And it gives me great and immense joy currently when I find that our Guru Bhais and Guru disciples in the Sri Sampradaya from India are now expounding Vishishtadvaita in English, in Hindi, in Telugu, and in Tamil. At this point, I want to pay my respects to Chinnajaya Swami, who came out to the West many generations ago, and he brought Lord Sri Ramanuj and the Sri Sampradaya to the West. He was one of the first gurus to enter the Western world with this great and enormous task. And when I was at his ashram in September 2018, he impelled me to come back and preach the teachings of Lord Sri Ramanuj. So a combination of my despair, of my frustration in gleaning knowledge, then meeting Chinnajaya Swami, and we also had the great pleasure when Swami Sri Acharya from Vrindavan lived in our ashram for 3 days. And it was his instructions, as I am not technically competent in South Africa due to my various inadequacies, he asked me to play the Vishnu Sahasranam. And the Vishnu Sahasranam is played over 14 hours a day at the Sri Narayan Dham, and I played the version sang by His Holiness Chinnajaya Swami himself. Swami Sri Acharya also asked us to offer Tulsi Mata Jal every morning. And since his instruction, every morning Tulsi Mata Jal is offered. So within my frustration, Lord Sriman Narayan has either sent his disciples to me, not forgetting Gautam Acharya, who is a Pancharatra Agama Pandit, is a specialist in that field. He has performed all the ritualistic portions of the Sri Sampradaya as authorized by the Pancharatra Agamas. And I am very blessed and graced that the Lord could send timeously various gurus and also export me to gurus so that I could glean aspects which were daunting me. I think I've exceeded my time. I just want to introduce the fifth Alvar, and I'm going to pay my obeisances to him. Namalvar, Nammalvar. I worship Satari, Sathari, the incarnation of the Commander-in-Chief, brackets, Vishvaksena, in brackets, Vishvaksena, Vishvaksena, close brackets, of the army of Sri Vishnu, who was born in the beginning of Kali Yuga as a son of Kari at Kuru Kapuri, as the son of Kari, Kari, at Kuru Kapuri, Kurukapuri, Puri, in the land of Pandya in the month of Vaisakha. Vaisakha, and that is between May and June, under the influence of the asterism Visakha, Visakha, in brackets 16th stellar mansion. So if one wants to have an image of Vishwaksena in one's mind's eye, then he is the absolute reflection of Lord Sriman Narayan. Vishwaksena is the commander of the army of Lord Sriman Narayan, and he incarnated as the fifth Alvar called Namalvar. And Namalvar, Namal mean in Tamil hour. So the Lord called him, Lord Sriman Narayan, called only Vishwaksena our Alvar, Namal Var. And it is for this reason that the Sri Sampradaya worships Vishwaksena first, because he is the commander in chief. Charles, who you must worship first? Vishwaksena, because Vishwaksena is worshipped first in the Sri Sampradaya. Lord Ganesha and Kartikeya are the commander-in-chief of Lord Shiva's army. And this is why Lord Shiva followers will worship Lord Ganesha first. So, which division we belong to, Charles? Lord Narayan. So if we belong to Lord Narayan, we would not worship Lord Ganesha first, we would worship Vishwaksena first. Understood? Jai Sriman Narayan.